Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year from Kiss.
Feliz Navidad, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas from Kiss.
Ho, ho, ho! I'm wishing everybody a really Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year.
Someone stole Santa? That does not rock!
What's going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another episode of 25 Days of KISSmas, where every day leading up to KISSmas, I will be reviewing and discussing every Kiss studio album plus more. For the 21st episode, I will be reviewing the Carnival of Souls album from 1997. The period between Revenge and Carnival of Souls saw the band pursuing various projects such as Alive 3, the Kiss My Ass tribute album, the Kisstory book, and the official Kiss conventions, while also writing and demoing material for a potential follow-up to Revenge. The buzz of the official Kiss conventions led to their appearance on MTV's Unplugged that featured Peter Criss and Ace Frehley in 1995. While rumors of a reunion of the original lineup ran rampant in the Kiss community, it was all business as usual when the Revenge lineup went back in the studio to cut a new album. Once the album was completed in early 1996, the news was broken that the original lineup would indeed be reuniting for a full-scale reunion tour, to which Carnival of Souls was shelved. Once the tour wrapped up in mid-1997, bootleg copies of the unreleased album made their rounds, so it put Mercury in the hot seat to release it officially, and one listens to it and wonders, why did Kiss try to go grunge? So let's dig into the album. Side 1, Track 1, Hate. Gene had components of this track written as far back as 1993, but enlisted the help of Bruce and Scott Van Sant to round off the track. This track can hardly contain the angst and heaviness that kicks the album off into overdrive, and very much sets the tone for the album the same way that Unholy from Revenge did. This was due to be the second single released from the album, but it wasn't meant to be. Track 2, Rain. This is a collab between Paul, Bruce, and Kurt Cuomo. This rather dark track is an interesting contrast for Paul to take the lead on, and he really lets loose vocally, and overall the riffs are low and heavy, and the time signature choice adds a nice twist to the song's arrangement. Track 3, Master and Slave. This is another track by Paul, Bruce, and Kurt Cuomo, which serves as one of the more accessible tracks on the album with its traditional verse-chorus song structure. It was also released as the second radio single from the album, but it failed to make much of an impact. Track 4, Childhood's End. This track was written by Gene, Bruce, and Tommy Thayer. Interesting how two Kiss guitarists joined forces here. Musically, this piece was provided by Tommy, who supplied the chord sequence and melody, and Bruce with the verse chord sequence. With the song's title lifted from the name of a book by Arthur C. Clarke, the lyrics written by Gene tell a tale of loss of innocence between two friends, one of them who passes away and the other reminisces. In a move similar to Great Expectations on Destroyer, the chorus of the song does feature in choir, and it's also worth noting that the version of the song that appears on the 2001 box set has an extended instrumental outro, sometimes referred to as outromental, which was left off of the final album. Track 5, I Will Be There. Another track by Paul, Bruce, and Kurt Cuomo. This one provides a mellow breather to the album, as the song was written by Paul, inspired by and dedicated to his son Evan, which in turn makes this the most genuine track on the album. The stripped-down acoustic nature of the song is further elevated with a beautiful sounding orchestral arrangement. Track 6, Jungle. This is another one written by Paul, Bruce, and Kurt Cuomo, which stands out as being the longest song in the Kiss studio catalog, clocking in at just under 7 minutes in length. An edited version was released as the first radio single from the album, and surprisingly enough, this track would go on to be Kiss's highest charting single within the Billboard mainstream Top 40 rock charts. Even with the single being as successful as it was, it only brought forth so much success, which led to the album going under the radar. Now we're going to flip the album over to side 2, track 7, In My Head. This song originated around early 1995 from a Gene song called Nest of Termites. The lyrics for that song are a bit odd, and the one thread that connects that original idea to this song is the In My Head line that gets repeated in the verses. It wasn't until writers Scott Van Zandt and Jamie St. James stepped up to the plate and whipped up Gene's original surreal idea to a final song. The harmonies and the vocals also give a slight darker Alice in Chains vibe to them. Track 8, It Never Goes Away. Another song by Paul, Bruce, and Kurt Cuomo. Starts out rather eerie with the panning distorted guitar and goes into a cool, low and slow groove with lyrics about despite how much evil lurks within the world, just like the song states, it never goes away. Track 9, Seduction of the Innocent. This track by Gene and Scott Van Zandt was one of the earliest mentioned songs to be considered for the follow-up to Revenge. It's an overall cool tune with the distinctive tambourine part that lays the bed for the rhythm section. Track 10, I Confess. Gene had a chance to collaborate with Ken Tamplin, a member of the Christian rock band Joshua, on this particular track. The partnership was due to Gene's involvement with Scott Van Zandt, who had worked with Ken on some demos that Gene heard at the time. The song is overall ominous with the dark-sounding strings that occur within the song. Track 11, In the Mirror. Here we have yet another song by Paul, Bruce, and Kurt Cuomo. This one isn't as slow and trotting like most other tracks on the album. Here is a more steady rocking tune with some Kirk Hammett sounding wah-wah guitar. Certainly recreates some of the magic that can be found on Revenge. Track 12, I Walk Alone. Written by Gene and Bruce, and in a move similar to Little Caesar with Eric Carr, this track marks the first and only time Bruce sang lead on a Kiss track. Supposedly, Gene was supposed to tackle the lead vocal, but he and producer Toby Wright thought that it would be a good twist if Bruce's attempt would work, which indeed it did, since it appears on the album. As for where this album stands in my Kiss catalog ranking, I would put Carnival of Souls at the number 19 spot. It goes without saying that this is Kiss's attempt at tapping into grunge. And while they have influenced many bands within the realm of grunge, they really had no need tapping into the genre. This was Gene's way of sort of bringing the band in with the modern musical climate of the 90s, and essentially picking up where Revenge left off at and taking it into a much heavier direction, which does indeed work rather well, but lyrically it comes across as Kiss's darkest album. And this is why the album is an oddity, because while Kiss can be seen as a musically heavy band, their uplifting lyrics provide a bit of contrast, so it's certainly out of character for them to be singing about darker subject matters. I often wonder how this album would have been received if it came out when it was supposed to, but like I stated, this was being worked on while talks of a reunion were in the rings, and once that took off, the album was shelved and was ultimately released to beat the bootleggers with no real means of promotion, and the band has never played any of these songs live. So in retrospect, this album simply exists as a time capsule of what was going on at the given point in history. So there you guys go. That is the 21st episode of the 25 Days of KISSmas series. Stay tuned tomorrow for the 22nd episode, and you can already guess what comes next. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.
Treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming